Hello there. What is going on, everybody? We're back with another episode of Awesome Gaming News. This is episode number 7. This is a periodic piece where I will bring you guys some awesome gaming news from around the world, things to hit your tabletop communities, things that are cool, awesome, and otherwise overall positive. This is something I haven't done yet this year. We were doing a bunch of these last year, and I decided it's time to get back in. And this will be sort of a catch-up episode. I'm not going to cover all of the awesome gaming news, but I am going to cover some of it because I think there's going to be a lot more to cover the next time we do one of these with Adepticon just around the corner. If you guys are new here to the channel, be sure to subscribe and leave a comment. That's going to automatically enter you to win that $25 Amazon gift card. We've got a couple of days left to enter to win that, so not a whole lot of time left, but don't worry, we do these all the time. And I typically announce winners towards the end of my videos, so watch all the way to the end is my suggestion for you. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the first bit to talk about. And that's Adepticon. It's next week. I'll be going out there, and this is where we have lots of big miniatures, tabletop gaming news, all of the tournaments, all of the big reveals, announcements. Warhammer is going to be announcing everything. Atomic Mass is going to be announcing everything. But there's also the World's tournaments that are happening for the games that I cover. I'm playing in a couple of tournaments. The big Star Wars Legion tournament, the final X-Wing and Armada tournaments are also happening here. The final official tournaments. There's always going to be events and stuff like that happen, but this is the final one. The final ones for X-Wing and Armada that will be happening under the Asmodee and Atomic Mass Games banner. So that is it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big celebration of those games. And I'll be playing in the Star Wars Armada tournament. And I'm also going to be playing in the Cyberpunk Combat Zone tournament. So that one I think I'm playing is on Saturday. So if you're playing Combat Zone, if you're interested in Cyberpunk, you can definitely check that out as well. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that and much more. And there's a really cool German restaurant in Milwaukee that I've heard a little bit about that has massive pretzels that are like, bigger than maybe a 4-year-old. So, it's going to be one of those things I think you order to share with the table. I don't think I could eat even a quarter of one of those by myself. But, yeah, pretty cool stuff. So I'm looking forward to Adepticon. I'm definitely looking forward to getting some German food also because that sounds awesome. And it fits the awesome gaming news because we got to have some awesome gaming food with our awesome gaming news, right? So, yes, that's a lot of fun planned for next week. So, and if you guys want to watch coverage, if you can't make it out, I'm going to be doing some live streams. I'll be doing some videos. There'll be some post Adepticon stuff. I'm going to try. One of my biggest worries with this is that there's going to be so many things to cover that I'm going to miss out on things. I know that Armada tournament overlaps with Atomic Mass Games' event, and I may not be able to actually live stream from it directly, so I may be doing like post-game analysis on it and stuff like that. I have no idea. So it's gonna be exciting. I'm gonna try to cover as much as I can, but I'm afraid it's gonna be a little overwhelming being my first Adepticon, which is pretty exciting to me. Jumping into a different realm, we're going to go into Star Trek realm. I talked about this project a while back, but Star Trek Ascendancy was on GameFound. They relaunched Star Trek Ascendancy, and while I did talk about it, it was fully funded. Although you can, if you're interested, you can still follow along because they will go into late backing at some point. But one of the really cool things is they changed the boxes up. To have an NCC 1701 Enterprise look for the one, and then a Borg cube for the other one, which I thought was a really cool touch. I love the look of those boxes. They're very cool. So again, a lot of little extras have been added to the campaign. Things unlocked, campaign mode, a new second edition rules. One of the most beautiful inserts ever for these boxes that are going to help you store everything for the game. They really went all out with this campaign. So if you're a Star Trek fan and you like big 4X games, and especially since we were just talking about Adepticon, big games like this are great to play at conventions. This one probably a little bit more for board game conventions, but still, anytime you get a lot of people together, a lot of nerds and geeks and gamers and people who are passionate about their hobbies, it's a great time to get big games like Star Trek Ascendancy to the table. So again, check that out. They're on GameFound by Gale Force 9, and I'm sure that'll be able to for late pledge. But yeah, these are super cool boxes. And check out all the other stuff. I already done a video, so if you want to search Crabbok Star Trek Ascendancy, I talked a lot about the campaign when it was still going on. I thought it was pretty cool to check out. Star Wars Legion's had a lot of good news lately. If you've been following me, you're probably already up to speed with most of it, but there are new starters that have been announced. There's a new Ahsoka Tano, Padawan, and Commander expansion, as well as a couple of other new reprint expansions that have been announced. And with some clarification to the Ahsoka Tano Padawan, there's only one unit card in here. That's the Commander version. The Padawan apparently is going to be a heavy upgrade for clone troopers. People have actually, if you can see this box here, there's some micro canted upside down and backwards text on there that people have like managed to read magically. Well, maybe it's not backwards. It's just canted and up, and super, you have to like twist it and zoom in really, really close. But yeah, so if the text on there is correct, it does look like you're only getting one unit card in here, but you're going to be able to run Ahsoka as a commander or also as a sort of a heavy weapon kind of additional miniature to a clone unit, which is cool. It's cool. I don't know if it'll be heavy or the commander option. Probably the commander option. But having even a Padawan and a clone unit, they'd probably be the leader in that one. I'm guessing. So, but I'm sure we'll get previews of this at Adepticon. But also all new starters, a lot of that stuff. Now, granted, this stuff isn't coming out for a long time, but it's supposed to be out in 2025. So, Legion fans, again, you're going to be getting a lot more. Also with, of course, the Adepticon reveal, and then April they're going to be doing another. I think I don't know if they're calling it mini extravaganza, but there's going to be another rules update in April. So that will also be happening. And I think they're trying to aim for 2 mini extravaganzas a year. So April would probably be appropriate for that. So yeah, that's another thing that's going to be happening. So Legion in for some cool stuff. In the world of WizKids and Dungeons and Dragons, there's a really cool set of miniatures that WizKids is putting out in their D&D Icons of the Realms set. If you're familiar with the most popular game in recent years, winner of Game of the Year, and one of my all-time favorite video games, Baldur's Gate 3. Incredible work of art that Larian made there. They are doing miniatures for Baldur's Gate 3. They have both pre-painted and unpainted versions. So if you want to get these, if you just want them available for your D&D campaigns to be able to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to take some, especially if your gaming group is familiar with Baldur's Gate 3, and let's face it, they probably are. This would be a really cool opportunities to introduce familiar heroes and have Karlak kind of running across during a side quest or something like that. It'd be really cool to do that, or to remake Baldur's Gate 3 yourself. How are you planning to do something like that? If this is something that you're interested in, let me know down in the comments how you would use some of these miniatures. And would you go for the pre-painted, or would you get for the unpainted ones and paint them up yourself? You probably, granted, WizKids, does pretty good for pre-painted miniatures. They've been getting better and better over time, but still, there's something really fun about painting your own. I really like the whole, I'm going to paint my own miniatures, but, sometimes it's cool to have both options. And I really love, and this is one of the things that makes this awesome. For one, the game Baldur's Gate 3 is automatically awesome, but the fact that WizKids is giving you options, hey, if you want it pre-painted, that's an option. If you want the whole set too, you can do that. But if you want to get them unpainted and paint them yourselves, you have that option too. And actually, they're really affordable. I think they're like $5 or so per model, and you can order them kind of piecemeal, however you want to do it. WizKids pre-order page for these has a lot of options, so they're really giving you the ability to pick and choose whatever you want to get if this is something that you're into. So I thought that's a really cool amount of choice that they're giving you. Very cool. Also from WizKids, Star Trek Into the Unknown had the Rising Tensions campaign officially announced, and little by little there have been some previews and some little news trickles about this particular expansion. There's still a whole lot more to learn about this expansion and what it brings to the game. But we're going to be getting a bird of prey with movable wings. We're going to be getting a Miranda class, a Defiant class, and a Vorcha. And so these look really cool. This is going to be a campaign expansion. Does require the core game, but you're also going to see your first Romulan in here. While you're not getting Romulan ships, you are getting the Romulan officer that was assigned to operate the cloaking device for the Defiant. And so while that is a Defiant class, that is the Valiant that's actually going to come in there. But this is also going to be the campaign that introduces cloaking. And, of course, you're going to have Gowron at 15 points, a very expensive leader. Again, it just looks really, really cool. I can't wait to learn more about this. Primarily, how do they expect you to run incident missions with Klingons, and one of those ways may be that they have additional ship packs that are available, or this is one of those times where they also introducing not only cloaking, but maybe they're introducing sway and how you can borrow Federation or potentially Dominion ships. Will there be Klingon officers in here that have sway with Dominion? Will it be maybe a Gowron that's sympathetic to the Dominion? There'll be another option for him. But the version we've seen doesn't look like it has sway. So maybe there'll be a changeling Martok in there or something like that. A lot of different options. But this is an exciting pack. This is supposed to be coming out this summer, and hopefully we'll be getting it to hopefully we'll be getting this early to review and show you guys before it even hits store shelves. But of course, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. Either way, it's going to be exciting, and I can't wait to check this one out. Moving forward in the world of tabletop starship games, Archon has a new game coming out in Q2 of 2025 to GameFound, and this one really caught my eye. It's called Starcide Promethean Crusade. It's in a new universe that they're working on. There's going to be a couple of different games in this shared universe, in this IP, but this one looks a lot like Star Wars Armada. Star Wars Armada fans, keep an eye on this game. It has ships on bases. They appeared primarily to have like large, medium, and small ships, and also apparently squadron style bases too. This one very much looks like it's going to kind of tap into that dopamine feed that Armada players get from their miniatures. And there are already previews of 4 different races. Again, something very, very similar to that look and feel of Armada, although you have all entirely new factions. But they've previewed these guys and kind of talked a little bit about them as primers, like, these guys are, average shields and average armor and stuff like that, but they have good missiles. And then there's another race that has no shields at all, but extra heavy armor, no missiles, but they focus on guns and lasers. And then there's another one that's really fast and, faster than everybody else, but maybe less, more about objective hunting. So again, there looks like there's not a lot of like gameplay information yet, but it definitely looks a lot like Star Wars Armada as far as the presence and the structure. It's going to also have objectives. It has warp points in there, so there's going to be some objective play and battle, shields and lasers and torpedo or missiles and armor and all of that stuff. Again, this one just looks super cool. Let's keep an eye on Starcide Promethean Crusade. And I want to also talk about Gundam Assemble. This one is very interesting to me. It's going to be a new hex-based miniatures game coming from Bandai using Gundams. And I'm not super familiar with the world of Gundam, but this one has definitely caused quite a stir. We recently actually picked up a Gundam. My son we went to one of these claw machine arcades, and my son got his first Gundam, and so we're gonna be putting that together, and I'm gonna teach him how to do sprue cutters and like assemble a model for the first time, which is really cool. And apparently, I had to look this up because the types of these models have a name. I'm going to spell it Gunpla. And I had to look this up because I was like, all right, I'm going to talk about this on camera. Is it gunplay? But apparently it's pronounced gunpla, which is more for like Gundam plastic. It's like a hybrid of those two words put together. but he's going to be using those official models from Bandai, but not the full-size ones. This is going to be like in a 2-inch tall, so like more of a tabletop miniatures game size. So when this was, I think, first announced, there were some that were expecting that they'd be using the existing Gunpla models from Bandai, which are, you know, like tall, right? But no, it's going to be using little models. So all new kits, and in the world of Gundam, not a whole lot is known about this. It does look like it uses a combination of like D10s and D6s, maybe even more dice than that. But you know, it looks pretty cool. Looks, you know, if you're into Gundam, into miniatures gaming, into hex gaming, any of that stuff. But this one is still a little ways out. It's looking to release in 2026, and that is. That's a cool thing. It's far enough away that we have time to kind of get more information, learn about it. Again, if there's a new game, especially if it's going to be that popular, sometimes people want to kind of start planning their budget maybe a year or two in advance. And so if this is something that you're into, you know, start putting a little bit aside. If the models are super tiny, then maybe it won't cost an arm and a leg to jump into. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. It all really depends on how core sets come out, how expansions come out, if it's going to be all one big box, or if it's going to be, you know, you buy a faction starter, or if it's expandable at all, or if it's going to be just a single thing. I think it's going to be an expandable game because that's typically how miniatures games work. But we'll be getting more about this in the future, and it's also possible we may see something at Adepticon related to this one as well. Wouldn't that be cool? And that's going to wrap up episode number 7 of Awesome Gaming News. Now, we didn't talk about all of the awesome games out there, all of the news that's out there. There's just too much for this one little guy right here to handle. But I am going to be endeavoring to cover more and more, especially at Adepticon. Let me know what awesome gaming news that you have heard about. And it doesn't just have to be about a new game coming out. It can be about something awesome that the community has done. It can be about something awesome that a publisher has done. It could be some kind of charitable thing. It could be some uplifting, feel-good news from your gaming community. Let me know down in the comments section below, because I want to keep those positive vibes going and keep you guys motivated, because in the world we live, it's great to have gaming that can unite us, bring us together, and put a smile on a lot of faces, and even sometimes distract us from the problems of the world and the things that might bring you down. It's nice to be able to turn to gaming as that welcome, relax, and decompression, and I do that quite a bit. It feels really good. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are amazing and out of this world and help make this whole channel possible. I will talk to you later. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. The spice must flow. You can't take the sky from me. And always wash your socks.